shall, through a disbursement request, authorize the National Treasury to disburse funds, including Government of Kenya, national level contribution to respective county treasuries according to the approved plans. B, the national government shall disburse the Government of Kenya counter financing for the national program special purpose account twice a year in accordance with the work plan. Number 3, the national government shall open a program specific account upon undertaking the following activities: getting authority from National Treasury to open a program specific account to Central Bank of Kenya or any approved commercial bank. Manual for program financing, financial and procurement. B, prepare financial reports. Program coordinator shall prepare financial reports specific to the national-based budget and also consolidate overall program financial report, that is counties and national. This report shall be reviewed and approved by JASCOM before they are submitted to government of Sudan through the National Treasury. B, prepare and submit monthly financial reports through JASCOM to National Government Accounting Officer at Treasury. In addition, NPS will consolidate quarterly financial report from all counties and share with JASCOM semi-annually for review and approval. 5, facilitate audit services. That is Part A. National government shall undertake continuous internal audit joined with KENAO. Currently, carry out external audit and also procure a private auditor to perform biannual roll audits. B, any suspected corruption cases shall be reported urgently to the accounting officer for redress. Part C, obligation of the county government. The county government shall submit annual work plan and budget to county treasury having fulfilled the following activities. A, except for the first year of implementation, the subsequent year's budget shall be based on preceding year's program activities and budget performance. B, consolidate budget into ASDSP 2 annual work plan and budget. Part C, County Program Secretariat CPS through the Chief Officer Agriculture will submit reviewed annual work plan and budgetary to the County Sector Steering Committee for approval. B, upon approval by steering committee, share the annual work plan and budgetary with NPS. E, submit the approval county AWP and B to the county through CSC for inclusion in the county budgets. 2, request for disbursement as follows. Upon approval of the budgets by the county assembly, PS through the respective county department shall submit twice a year a disbursement request to the National Treasury through the county treasury. The disbursement request shall be the total financial requirement for government of Sweden and contribution from national government as approved through the AWB process in line with the appropriate budget. C, not C, but B. CPS through the respective department responsible for the program will put up a requisition for the disbursement of county counterpart funds to the county treasury in accordance with the approval of AWP and B. C, side disbursement above will trigger counterpart contribution from national government and government of Sweden. D, county treasury will disperse the counterpart contribution to the program specific account twice a year and in accordance with the disbursement CPS to facilitate disbursement. E, county treasury will disperse county government of Sweden and the national county government of Kenya counterpart funds to program accounting to the approved work plan and as advised by the chief officer responsible for the program through the disbursement request. Mr. Speaker, sir, number 3. The county treasury shall open a program specific account. Part A, chief officer responsible for the county treasury will grant authority to the chief officer responsible for the program to open a program specific account to any approved commercial bank where funds from Sweden and national county government shall be deposited for the implementation of the program. Part B, chief officer responsible for the county treasury shall issue AIE to the county program coordinator to appropriate program funds in accordance with the PFM Act rules and regulations, manual for program financial management and procurement. Part C, county treasury chief officer shall assign an accountant to be responsible for the affair of the program. 4, prepare financial reports. Part A of that number 4. Program coordinator shall prepare program financial reports twice a year, January and July. These reports shall be approved by CSC before they are submitted to the National Treasury through the county treasury and subsequent sharing with the NPS. Part C, CPS through the respective chief officer responsible for the program shall submit monthly internal financial report SOE to the National Treasury through county treasury and subsequent sharing. Number 5, Part A. Number 5 reads provide audit service. Part A, county treasury shall ensure program is audited continuously and report shared with CO Finance and CO responsible for the program, CPS and CSC. Part B, the internal audit shall inform the CO responsible for the program of any suspected corruption noted during the course of audit. Part C. County internal audit shall provide information to KENAO and external rolling audit when requested. Number 6, authorized banks signatories. The mandatory bank signatory shall be the county ASDSP coordinator and the assigned accountant responsible for the program. Mr. Speaker, sir, may you allow me to give also a chance to my counterpart, that is Chair Cooperative, to read through the remaining the remaining information. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you. Chair Cooperative, you may proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. I beg to continue. 4.0, that is the National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project Financing Agreement. Brief introduction. The National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project is a government of Kenya project funded by World Bank through Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Cooperatives. The project aims to support small holders farmers transitioning from subsistence to market-driven commercial agriculture. The project aims to benefit selected 32 counties clustered as Mount Kenya, that is Kirinyaga, Kiambu, Murang'a, Embu, Meru, Tarakaniti, and Nyeri. Lower Eastern, that's Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui. That's Trans Nzoia, Nandi, Uasin Gishu, Central Rift, that's Kachato, Narok, Nakuru, Bomet, Kericho, and Nyandarua. Nyanza, Kisii, Nyamira, Migori, Homa Bay, Siaya, and Kisumu. Western, Kakamega, Vihiga, Busia, and Bungoma. And the coast, Kwale, Tana River, and Taita Taveta. Priority value chains that the projects will support countrywide are dairy, chicken, banana, mango, avocado, tomato, potato, coffee, cotton, cashews, apiculture, garden tea, African local vegetables, green grams, and pyrethrum. Kericho County prioritizes to support dairy, chicken, avocado, coffee, and pyrethrum as value chains. Kericho County received Kenya shilling 67,192,729.30 in the month of June 2022-2023 financial year. In this financial year 2023-2024, the county is yet to receive Kenya shillings 250 million from International Development Association, IDA, and Kenya shillings 25 million from Government of Kenya and county counterpart funding. The NAVCDP agreement was entered between the Republic of Kenya and International Development and Association, expounding on the concessional financing commitment to the project, effectiveness and termination of contracting and representative addresses. The agreement was signed by Ukur Yatani, Cabinet Secretary for the Government of Kenya, and Camila Nauma, Acting County Director, that is for International Development Association, see Annexure 4. The NAVCDP agreement consists of 3 schedules and appendix that expound on the contents of the agreement as follows. 1. Building producer capacity for climate resilient strong value chains, farmer capacity building investment and e-forger, farmer producer organization, level climate smart chain, investments, improve creditworthiness of CICG and FPOP, climate smart value chain ecosystem investments, that's the farmer-led irrigation development, market access and infrastructure development, data and digital investments, research leakages, technical assistance, and institutional capacity. Piloting climate smart, safer food urban systems, climate smart urban and peri-urban agriculture, urban market infrastructure. 4, project coordination and management, that is project coordination, communication, monitoring, and evaluation, and information. ASTSP 2 committed to contribute 2.5 million annually. Unfortunately, the national government did not fulfill honor its obligation within the stipulated timelines. By the end of financial year 2022-2023, arrears amounted to Kenya shillings 4 million. 2, donor contribution. The donor, SIDA, is ready to disperse an additional 1,027,779 for the financial year 2022-2023. This contribution, coupled with the national government partial payment, constitutes a significant portion of funds required by the ASTSP 2 program. 3, extended timelines. Given the challenges in receiving the funds as per the original timelines, the ASTSP 2 program was granted an extended timeline. This extension allows program to incorporate and release funds for both the national government and donor into its annual budget and working plan for financial year 2022-2024. 4, revise legislative framework. The legislative framework governing funds transfer has evolved. Previously, Section 10, Section 1 of the County Government Additional Allocation Act 2022 suspended the need for intergovernmental agreements during the financial year 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023. However, with the lapse of financial year 2022, 2023, Section 191A to 191D of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 became operational starting from financial year 2023-2024. 5, compliance requirements. To assess additional allocation, ASTSP 2 must comply with Section 191A to 191E of Public Finance Management Act. These sections necessitate the following. 1, intergovernmental agreements, a formal agreement between the National Treasury and the county government signed by, authorized, and published in Kenya Gazette is required. 2, the County Assembly approve. Evidence of approval by the County Assembly within set timeline is crucial. This ensures the County Assembly is informed and supportive of the ASTSP2 funding. 5.0, Joint Committee Observation on the financial intergovernmental agreements between national government and county government of Kericho on ASTSP2 and NAVCTB, the Joint Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries and Cooperative Management, Tourism and Wildlife, after scrutiny of the financial agreements, makes the following observation. 1. The county assembly approval is critical and a requirement for any financing agreements between the national government, any development partner, donor, and county government before any funding or programs commences or implemented. That the ASTB 1 and 2 programs and activities ought to be cleared and spread across the county for equity in development to be realized. 3. That the county assembly through respective sectorial committee are not informed of the projects and programs funded through donor funds or joint financing framework. 4. Public participation is not done effectively, and thus the prioritization and inclusivity of programs and projects may not be realized. 5. That some agreements entered into by the county government of Kericho and the entities is not deposited at the county assembly, i.e., the county assembly is not informed of what happens in most of the programs and projects, hence utilization of the county resources may not be accounted. 6. That programs and projects co-financed sometimes are outside the financing documents such as annual development plan, county physical strategic paper, and program-based budgets. 7. Periodic reports such as quarterly and semi-annual reports on donor funding programs are turned to the national treasury, the county treasury, and the donors respectively. 8. That periodic assessment of the progress of implementation of projects and programs funded through co-financing and partnerships in generally is not done. 9. That the timelines attached to the donor-funded programs and projects are important and therefore should be observed, including adequate time to scrutinize the documents and forwarded to the relevant institution for approval, adoption, implementation, and reporting. 6.0. Committee recommendation on the financial intergovernmental agreements between national government and county government of Kericho on ASTB 2 and NAVCTB. The Joint Committee on Agriculture and Cooperative, after lengthy deliberation and scrutiny on the financial agreements for ASTB 2 and NAVCTB projects, makes the following recommendation. 1. That the County Assembly approves the ASTB 2 and ANCTB financing agreements between the national government and the development partners, that's the donors, and the county government for funding and implementation of programs to commence. 2. That the ASTB programs be made clear to all intended beneficiaries and stakeholders that the projects should be spread the county for equity in development to be realized. That 3. That the county assembly should at all times be informed of the projects and programs funded through donor funds or joint financing framework. 4. That the relevant sectorial committees of the county assembly oversight programs and projects funded by the joint financing such as ASTB, NAVCTB, and the Kenya Agricultural Climate SMART, among others. 5. That public participation should be done effectively for prioritization and inclusivity of the projects, programs and projects to be realized. That the agreement signed by the county government of Kericho and other entities must be deposited at the county assembly for accountability of the programs and projects by user developments in line with the Public Finance and Management Act of 2012 and its regulation. 7, the periodic reports such as quarterly and semi-annual reports be done to the 8, that the approval of financing agreements and implementation plans or programs and budgets that require the county assembly endorsement must be requested on time. 7.0, the committee wishes to thank the office of the speaker and the clerk for supporting extended to its execution of its mandate. Mr. Speaker, sir, pass one to standing order 2 to table a report on approval of financial intergovernmental governmental agreements between national government and county government of Kericho on ASTB 2 and NAVCDB for consideration by this honorable house. Signed by the chair, agriculture, that is Honorable Julius Shele, Chairman, Joint Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries and Cooperative Management. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. This is a motion, so who is your seconder?
I call upon Honorable Welton Rogoy to second the motion.
Right, thank you. So, honorable members, I now propose the question that this House approves the report of the Joint Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and Cooperative Management, Tourism and Wildlife on approval of financial intergovernmental agreements between national government and county government of Kericho on ASDSP2 and NAVCDB. Now the floor is open for contribution. Anyone wants to contribute? Honorable Hezron, on the pitch. May make your contribution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir, for the opportunity you have granted me, Mr. Speaker, so that I can raise and support the motion by Chair Joint Committee on Lands, on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries Committee and Cooperative Management and Tourism, Mr. Speaker, on the approval of financial intergovernmental agreement between the national government and county government of Kericho on ASDSP2 and NAVCDB. I want to use this platform, Mr. Speaker, to thank the honorable members of the said committees, Mr. Speaker, for coming up with a comprehensive, detailed report, Mr. Speaker, on this report, Mr. Speaker. This report, Mr. Speaker, is timely and it is well thought, Mr. Speaker, because initially, Mr. Speaker, we have been receiving a lot of donor funds, a lot of support from non-governmental organizations, Mr. Speaker, and some donation, Mr. Speaker. But because there has never been a clear guidelines, there has never been a clear agreements like this, Mr. Speaker, you find that some of the projects come through backdoor, and it was implemented in a good manner, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you and I, Mr. Speaker, we were in the last assembly, Mr. Speaker. And when you look at clearly, Mr. Speaker, the SDSP programs and the climate smart programs, Mr. Speaker, we received as Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. And the manner in which it was implemented, in which it was rolled out, Mr. Speaker, is a big question, Mr. Speaker, which is still leaving us in suspense, Mr. Speaker. Because it is a donor fund which was meant to support the county equitably or across the county, Mr. Speaker, but it was developed in some few selected areas, Mr. Speaker. You find a ward was benefiting from a lot of millions of development. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, one ward benefiting from a water program, the dams, the animal feed, there was again, Mr. Speaker, some funds which was meant for small groups, Mr. Speaker, and all was screwed into some sections of areas, Mr. Speaker. But were it that the report was brought like this, Mr. Speaker, so that they can be accountable. Like now, the recommendation by the committee, Mr. Speaker, where on recommendation number 2, Mr. Speaker, for the recommendation, Mr. Speaker, that the ASDSP program to be made clear to all the intended beneficiaries and stakeholders, and that the project should be spread across the county for equity in development to be realized, Mr. Speaker. This is a point, Mr. Speaker, which is giving me some confidence on this program, Mr. Speaker, because initially there was no clear guideline, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, out of over 500 million which came last time, Mr. Speaker, it was only implemented, I can confidently say, it almost went to only one word, Mr. Speaker. Because Kapsaos was highlighted, but it was not to conclusion, Mr. Speaker. There was a word in Soinsigawet, Mr. Speaker, but those development was not done to impactful level, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, with this report, Mr. Speaker, and the oversight by the Joint Committee, Mr. Speaker, and the recommendation, Mr. Speaker, is giving me, as a representative of the people, a confidence on now the coming funds, Mr. Speaker. As we are speaking now, Mr. Speaker, we have 70 million in the account, which came last financial year, and I think, Mr. Speaker, this is high time, which we need to ask the chairman on lands, on agriculture, and chairman on cooperative, Mr. Speaker, to give us the quarterly reports about how those money has been spent, Mr. Speaker, and how it has been spent. Because when we were doing the budget, Mr. Speaker, you remember we had 70 million in agriculture, and it has been written here, it was 67, but there was some balance of around 2.5, which made it to 70 million. So, Mr. Speaker, we need now the accountability of the said 70 million which is in the account, and which programs and which areas, Mr. Speaker. And now on the coming now money which we are yet to receive, Mr. Speaker, we need to know clear programs on where it is going, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, another thing which is giving me confidence, Mr. Speaker, is that is the recommendation number 6, Mr. Speaker, where the committee recommends that the agreement signed by the county government of Kericho and other entities must, Mr. Speaker, be deposited at the county assembly for accountability of the programs and the projects by user department in line with the Public Finance and Management Act of 2012 and its regulation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is another point, Mr. Speaker, which is giving me confidence, Mr. Speaker. And it begs a question, Mr. Speaker, that as the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 is giving us, is as stipulated, we need now as county assembly to come up with regulation and legislation which guide us in the implementation of such programs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one thing I have come to realize in this assembly, Mr. Speaker, we have been sleeping on our jobs, Mr. Speaker. We have the acts and the regulation existing, even the constitution, Mr. Speaker. But constitution or the acts cannot be implemented. It is implemented with other regulation, Mr. Speaker, or with other legislation, Mr. Speaker. Like now the Finance Act, Mr. Speaker. You see, we have a challenge. Nowadays, right now, Mr. Speaker, there are people who have gone to court wanting to challenge what we passed here, Mr. Speaker, the Finance Act. And it is challengeable because we just use the Mother Act, Mr. Speaker. When we have the Mother Act, we need to do legislation on implementation of the act per section, Mr. Speaker. Like the single business permits, Mr. Speaker, SSB, is just anchored under the Mother budget, but we need to come up with legislation, policies, and regulation to assist us in implementation of the said program, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, after us getting this, Mr. Speaker, we need to come up with some legislation which will guide us now in implementation of this said program like donor program, Mr. Speaker. Failure to which, Mr. Speaker, will be continuing to be crying, and the development, site development will be screwed. So we need to come up with legislation. We need to come up with law assistance in implementation of site programs, Mr. Speaker. As I end, Mr. Speaker, I'm still touch again on number 4, Mr. Speaker, that the relevant sectorial committee of the County Assembly oversight programs and projects funded by joint financing such as the SDSP, and AFCDP, and Kenya Agricultural Climate Smart, among others. So I'm still emphasizing on the relevant committee to make sure that they do proper oversight on this money, so that the electorate can get value for money of whatever any donor or any shilling which is coming to our country. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion in totality and congratulate the joint committee for coming up with a detailed report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next, I'll give to Honorable Harun Rotich, then followed by Honorable Weldon Rogonya. And Rogonya, I've just remembered you had seconded by bowing, so you have your chance not utilized. So, Harun, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by acknowledging the work that was done by able committees, that is the Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, together with the Committee of Cooperative Management. Mr. Speaker, having gone through this report, I want to also support the work that has been done, ably done by my fellow members, especially that now this is a report that is actually joining both the national government and the donors and also the county government working together. Mr. Speaker, having gone through the report, I've seen that it's been stated that the donor, as the CEDA, is ready to disperse an additional of 1 billion in this financial year 23-24. And it's been said that the contribution is going to be coupled with the national government's partial payment, constitutes a significant portion of funds required to SDSP 2 program. So, Mr. Speaker, I want also to say that last regime, I was privileged, Mr. Speaker, to have been a beneficiary of a project that was funded by Kenya Climate Smart, and up to a tune of about 26 million, Mr. Speaker. The project is actually the hatchery. I believe it's the only hatchery in this county. And as we speak, Mr. Speaker, it is actually in use, and a lot of chicks are actually being laid, and you can get from the past day, a week, 2 weeks, up to even 2 months. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to support this program because it is going to uplift the people that are in the bottom of the pyramid. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say the work that has been done, and I want to applaud now that it's been captured very clearly in this SDSP 2 and NAV CDP. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it's been noted very clearly, as it's been noted by my colleague, that SDSP programs are going to be approved, subject to approval by the County Assembly of the region. Unlike the other programs, I remember, Mr. Speaker, there was no approval. It was only that you go, lucky you, then fine, you are going to have your way. So, Mr. Speaker, for this, I want to say I really support all approvals that are going to go through the departments, various departments, that is Department of Agriculture and the Department of Cooperative. So with those few remarks, I want to say I support the report, and we still want more donors. As we have all seen that the work done by the donors and even the county governments, we want to appreciate, and we also need to make use of it, Mr. Speaker. Because like in my hatchery there, Mr. Speaker, the locals are the ones that are using it currently, but I requested the county government of Kericho and other county governments, if they need hatched eggs or hatched chicks, Mr. Speaker, they can best get in my hatchery, that is the Retut ward in Belwood sub-county. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to say I welcome the move that everything should actually be subjected to approval in this floor of the House. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Weldon Rabany. You're next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the motion by the Chair, Honorable Siele, co-chaired with Honorable Mutai Philip of Cooperative. Mr. Speaker, I sit in this Committee of Agriculture, and I had time to go through the report before us today. Mr. Speaker, it is true that this was necessary for purposes of funding additional allocation. And this report should have been tabled before this House, before even we went on recess. But because of time, I want to believe we are still within timeline because our report was necessary for the executive to act on so that we get additional funding. Mr. Speaker, most of these donor funds, World Bank supported projects, have very serious conditions that have to be met. But as you've seen from the report, the national government, which was supposed to co-fund the project, at some point could not even meet the obligation on its part. But Mr. Speaker, nonetheless, there are so many indications that the national government will honor their part for us to get most of these projects to run. Mr. Speaker, I only rise to support this and to also support the recommendations by the committee that most of these donor funds, we do not have input as an assembly. You remember ASDSP has been running some programs, but without oversight from the assembly. So our recommendation was, because we are benefiting as a county, we have to have a role of oversighting most of these projects. Mr. Speaker, my ward, Sigowit, benefited from the Climate Smart before. In the whole county, we had only 6 wards. Mr. Speaker, the entire Belgood, the entire Buret did not get a single ward to benefit from the project, the Climate Smart. So they only targeted Sigowit, Soin, Ainamoy, and Kipkelion. I even want to believe the whole of Kipkelion East did not get to benefit from the project. Mr. Speaker, we feel because for purposes of planning, most of these donor projects has to be brought here before us, because at the end of the day, we also want to have the entire county of Kericho benefit. Most of these projects have been rolled out, and in some parts of the county. The whip who has just spoken here talked about the hatchery in his ward. Most of these, we do not even know as a ward in my constituency if we are going to benefit from that hatchery. But it is something that we have. That's why we've made a recommendation that as a house, this house has to be informed of any support that these donor funds whenever they are here, we need to know as an assembly so that it will help us also to assist all the other wards that have not benefited. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as a committee on agriculture and cooperatives, we came up with a recommendation that our various committees, we should be able to have reports from these donor funds for purposes of for us to audit, for us to even know the impact. Because let me give you an example. The hatchery that is in Sereda Cheptoro Yetwad, if we wanted already, the area member of county assembly has confirmed that indeed there are some chicks. But we do not know how many groups have benefited. From which sub-county are these groups getting the chicks? So, Mr. Speaker, it is important because at the end of the day, whenever we do this planning, we will be sacrificing some amount from the budget going into these support programs. But these projects do not benefit the entire county. So, Mr. Speaker, I feel it's about time as a committee, the various committee, be it cooperatives, agriculture, or any other committee, because most of these donor funds, if you look at it, they are now gearing towards getting climate resilient crops, climate resilient livestock. That is where the World Bank is doing. And we must appreciate the government of Sweden and the government of the Republic of Kenya for the support they are trying to give to this for our people to benefit. So with this, Mr. Speaker, I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this point, I'd like to call the move of the motion to reply before I put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity also to reply. I want to thank our honorable members for agreeing or approving the financial intergovernmental agreement that is between national government and county government of the region on ASDSP 2 and NAVCDP submitted pursuant to Standing Order 205. I really thank you all members for the contribution that you have given. You have shown the interest, and I think this will also improve the livelihood of our people in our villages. Also, it will create impact and also opportunities in their villages. I want to thank you all for that support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. As I put the question, I would like to encourage members that you get used to these terms, because these are terms that you must be able to pronounce. I've just looked in the abbreviation. SDSP is Agricultural Sector Development Support Program, and NAVCDP is National Agriculture Value Chain Development Project. So that should be the language we should be using forward. So, honorable members, I now rise to put a question that this House approves the report of the Joint Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and Cooperative Management, Tourism and Wildlife, on approval of financial intergovernmental agreements between national government and county government of Kericho on agricultural sector development program, ASDSP2, and National Agricultural Value Chain Development Project, NAVCDP. Will as many of similar opinions say aye? And will as many of contrary opinions say nay? The ayes have it. So, honorable members, there being no other business, this assembly stands adjourned until next week, Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.